Well, hello everybody, welcome back to Four Lights Wellness. My name is Omid, and in this video I want to talk about one of the biggest reasons that some people tend to get some neck pain, some chronic stiffness in the shoulders, potentially even some migraine headaches, tension headaches, that kind of stuff. One of the biggest things that you got to understand is that the cervical spine up here is really tiny bones, but C6 right here is a floating disc. It doesn't actually quite move around like that, but I want to show you something. If I get up into here, into my cervical spine, and I go into extension, taking my head back, what'll happen is that bone will actually slide anteriorly or forward out of position just a little bit. It's a really cool little trick that happens in nature. We need to reach up for something. It helps get some extra movement through that spine, especially the cervical thoracic extension. But here's the problem. Sitting rounds the mid-back out. That kyphotic position, that poor posture position that a lot of people talk about, kind of looks something like this. Now here's the challenge. Those two things link together. If I'm sitting for a long amount of time, especially with my phone, I have that rounded upper back and the head is forward in deflection. But what if you're stuck here in your mid-back? Well, now instead of doing this to pick up the head to look straight, you have to do this. And that starts to push that C6 forward into the spinal cord. That's not that big of a deal when you're reaching up for something in the cupboard, but the challenge is if you're walking around like that all day, well, now the body feels like it's the spine slipping forward, and the tension starts to try and hold everything into position here. Even the kind of choking sensation some people get in their neck and the front, that's everything trying to hold that bone back into place. And here's the rub. A lot of people will try to mobilize the thoracic spine with their foam rollers, with their peanuts. They'll start to try and do these type of twisty sort of things, but that CT junction through here, that C6 through T2 area, it's really notoriously hard to actually mobilize. A skilled therapist can get in there with their fingers and kind of help hook some stuff. There's some special stretches that some people can find some help with, but honestly, they're very hard to actually master on your own, just if you, especially you don't have the body awareness. So I figured today I'd share with you guys something I learned from Love It way back in the day. It's really simple, and that's why I got the shirt off. So I'm gonna spread out my fingertips, and I'm gonna put my arms way out to the side. And the reason, again, I have my shirt off is that I wanna show you a couple of the things that I found to be really awesome with this and some things that are not so helpful. What we're trying to do is we're trying to mobilize some bones. Which bones you mobilize depends on how you do this technique. So I'm going to take one palm here on the left and I'm going to turn it thumb really far down, and then the other palm really far up. And now I'm going to look to the palm that's down, not straight down at it, but over to the side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return back to the center, and I'm going to come back the other way, trying to move smoothly and in coordination. I'll do this one more time per side so you can see kind of the technique and the flow through this. If you go faster, you're not a bad person. I just like to take my time with things so I can really feel stuff happening. Now what that's doing is it's taking the shoulder blades themselves and kind of tipping them posterior anterior a little bit. It's taking the collarbones, it's kind of rotating them a little bit. And especially with the head turning, that thoracic spine also tends to follow the head turn in the eyes just a little bit. But as I'm turning away from the shoulder, that's going backwards. I tend to get this beautiful stretch rotation through the neck. And I'm going to turn this around and show you the backside, because I want to show you one thing that is really, I tend to find not as big of an improvement on the neck symptoms. But if you have shoulder symptoms, this actually can help quite a bit. So as I turn around, I'm going to look down through here, and you can see those shoulder blades starting to move quite a bit. But here's where some people tend to make a mistake if they're going after this with the neck. They'll collapse the shoulders and work through here. Well, now my spine is going into flexion on this side, extension on this side. Well, that's a rotation. I'm not actually rotating that much through the neck, but I am getting a whole bunch through the extra shoulders, a little bit more through the arm bone. I'm getting more through kind of lower mid-spine. And that's not the worst thing in the world if you want to kind of hyper-exaggerate this. But really most people, when they get stuck here, I'm almost thinking about horses pulling me apart as I go through this. kind of like if I had a towel and I wanted to wring out all the water. I wouldn't hold that towel loose. I'd hold it taut and twist like crazy. So this is that Lewitt technique. You can do this multiple times a day, especially if you've been sitting in a chair for a long amount of time. This really can help quite a bit. Obviously, we do want to still talk about the head position when you're at the desk and foam rolling this mid-back and breathing and all of that kind of stuff too. But hopefully this helps you guys out. That's it for this video today. I hope this information was very helpful to you guys. As always, have a happy and healthy rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.